How do you help people rebuild their identity when their body and sometimes their reflection in the mirror no longer feels familiar?
Mm. Well, I think first we have to grieve what we lost, right? Um, we weren't, this is not something that we ordered in the mail. This is not something we asked for. So the changes that come with it, changes, losses, um, are also not what we asked for. So there's a good bit of work to be done around grieving what isn't the same. Being angry, we can be angry. This is not what we asked for. This is not what I wanted. I used to be so good at X, Y, and Z, and now I can't even do that anymore. Like, who am I without this thing that was, for many people, their strengths, their talents, their things that made them who they are. Uh, if those change, sometimes we get stuck in that. And then you either feel like you don't have an identity or again, you feel like you're living with a stranger, right? Like this is not who I am and I don't really like this new person. I don't even know this new person. I don't want to know this new person. I want to go back to being me, right? So there is a certain amount of like processing of grief and loss around who we were. And then I believe in the baby steps that help us to see the strength that came from this adversity. And I say that with a great deal of um, humility because I have watched my patients and I've watched how hard it is to reinvent yourself and to find um, beauty or strength or meaning or purpose when things are ripped away from us or when our life is turned upside down. But I'll tell you, they do it all the time and they do it beautifully. It is so touching and is what keeps me doing this work. So I think the first step is really to understand that yes, happened and we didn't like it and it wasn't what we asked for, but truly there are things to be gleaned from it that make us stronger and better and wiser. And then we can cultivate new strengths. That's the beauty of being human. We can always cultivate new strengths. Oh, aren't you a living example of that?
I am a living example of that. I have reinvented myself. I am a different person now. It took me a while to accept my new normal. I was angry. You mentioned angry. I went through an angry period. I went through a period of not feeling the same. I
Uh-huh.
lost my identity.
Uh-huh.
I have brain fog to the point where I know I'm not the same person. However, I'm at the point where I am okay with the new me. I've been able to start a podcast and help other people mentally to whereas they can help themselves, which I never thought I'd be able to do, Dr. Gowrinathan.
Isn't that so amazing? Isn't that so amazing that we can do things like that? That we can uplift ourselves um, by reinventing ourselves.
And it's harder for some
Mm.
people than it is for others. When you come across a case that's really hard,
Mhm.
how do you point that person in the right direction of reinvention?
I think it would be arrogant of me to think that I am supposed to reinvent someone or I am supposed to um, somehow transform them. And I think that um, the hardest part is that as much as I want it for them, it has to come from them. But the thing that I can do is no matter where people are on their journey, even when they're in the stuck part, um, if you're in the stuck part and you're up to here in the mud, um, I'd like to think that the therapeutic thing that I'm able to do is get in there and be up to here in the mud with you until you're ready to step out. And then when you are ready to step out or when you have more hope or you feel stronger, and my medications are what help me get people a little bit stronger, and therapy, then I didn't step in without a rope. I came with a whole tool belt full of Indiana Jones type stuff, and we're going to get out. But there are some times when I cannot just fix it for you. I just have to sit there with you and see you and understand. And that is enough. That is enough until someone is ready for more.